Welcome to my German alphabet Part 2 class. If you're looking for a class which teaches you how to say the alphabet in German and how to spell your name, then please go and look for my German alphabet Part 1 class, which will tell you all about it. This class, in Part 2, you will learn how you pronounce all the letters within words. Slightly different. So, what will we cover? So, we're looking at the letter sounds within words, and we're starting with the vowels and the diphthongs. So, the vowels A, E, I, O, U, or A, E, I, O, U, plus the ones with the umlauts, A, or E, Ö, U. And the diphthongs, those are the vowel combinations like EI, IE, AU, and a couple of other ones. Then the next bit is the consonants, and that also includes any consonant combination. So when we go and look at the letter C, for example, you also have CH and CK, or P will have PH. So they're all covered there. There will be listening exercises and reading exercises and also some tongue twisters for speaking practice. I've also attached PDFs of the videos. That's just for you if you wanted to have a look at something again. So don't print them out, just download them and save them somewhere. Sometimes it's quicker to have a look at a PDF than to read or watch another video. I've also made a PDF of the tongue twisters and all the listening exercises. Those you may actually want to print out. The tongue twisters are spread out all over the videos, and on the PDF you've got all of them together. And nearly every video has got at least one little listening exercise, quite often with a grid. And yes, you can pause the video and quickly scribble something down on a bit of scrap paper. Or you can print out the PDF and then you have all the listening exercises together and just have them ready for when you're watching the videos. All those PDFs I've attached to the project. And the project, practice your tongue twisters. And tell us which one's your favourite, or if you're really brave, record yourself saying one of the tongue twisters. You can always post it to YouTube as unlisted, so only people in this class can actually watch it. But that's entirely up to you, or just tell me what you thought about the whole class. I hope you'll enjoy it. In this video, we're going to look at the vowels A, E, I, O, U, or A, E, I, O, U, and also the three umlauts E, Ö, and U. Let's start with A. The A sound is long, as in A, then it is followed by a single consonant that would belong to the next syllable if separated, like Magen. So the next syllable is the Gen, Magen. If it is doubled, as in Stadt, and if it's followed by an H, as in Ja. The H usually makes it a long sound. So Magen, Stadt, Ja. It's short if it is followed by a double consonant, like Nass. If it's followed by two or more different consonants, as in Stadt. And if it appears in a common one-syllable word followed by a single consonant, like ab. Now, as with everything else that I will be covering in all these videos, there are exceptions, or some exceptions, especially when they are foreign words. foreign words that have been taken on by the German language. But these rules will apply in most situations. Right, have a think. These words, I'm not reading them out yet. Do they have a long ah sound or a short one? Now you can either get a piece of paper and quickly scribble the words down, or just make it a tick list, you know, yes, no. Or you can do it in your head, or you can also download the little booklet where I've printed out all those little exercises. So you would only need to print it out once, and then you can just sit there and tick your boxes. Anyway, I'm going to reveal the answers. If you're not ready, then pause. But the first word is fahrt, and that's a long one. Kaffee, short. Flasche, short. Bahnhof, long. Und Saat. Did you get them? If you're not too sure, go back to the first two bits and check why those words are long or short. Now the same rules apply to ä. So if the A has an umlaut, the rules are still the same. So what about these then? Are they long ä sounds or short ones? And again, I will reveal the answer, so please pause if you're not ready. Käse, which is long. Kännchen, short. Währung. Nässe. Bäcker. Well done if you've got that. Now you've got the same idea with the E sound. It's long if it is followed by a single consonant that would belong to the next syllable if separated. Weg. Now, if we separated that, if it was a longer one, it would have been Wege. That's probably a bit easier to recognize. If it is doubled, Bed. And again, if it's followed by an H, Ehre. It's short if it is followed by a double consonant, Bet. Followed by two or more different consonants, Westen. And it appears in common one-syllable word followed by a single consonant, like er. Now, E at the end of a word usually does get pronounced. So no silent E as in English, but it is a short E. So Ente, Bohne, Frage. Not very long sounds, but they are there. So, is this a long E sound or a short one? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. And I'm about to reveal the answer, so again pause the video if you're not done. Sechs, that's a short. Flasche, that's the short E at the end. Meer, Fenster und Meer. So both those two words are pronounced the same, but the sea, or the ocean, is spelled with a double E, and if you want a bit more of it, it's EH. Now, E at the end of a word, as I said, usually gets pronounced, and there is no silent E. There is a slight exception in spoken German when you're talking about yourself. You remember, you most likely will have learned that in verb conjugations, the ending for ich is I, so it would be ich esse, ich trinke, ich fahre, ich gehe, ich kaufe. In spoken German, we very often don't bother, and the E gets sort of swallowed. If you're writing it, you would need, if you're writing spoken German, as in you're writing a story and he said, she said, then you would write that with an apostrophe because that it is instead of the E. So ich ess, ich hab, ich mach. You hear that a lot. And if the E is in the final EN of a word, it doesn't get pronounced, or hardly really. So we've got here, I say it properly, einen schwarzen. And yes, you may hear it, wir trinken einen schwarzen Tee. But you most likely hear it more like, wir trinken einen schwarzen Tee. If you noticed, you hardly hear the E. Sounds a lot nicer, really, doesn't it? I. The I sound is long, you've heard this, when it's followed by a single consonant that would belong to the next syllable if separated. Igel. Igel, eagle. If it's doubled, no, not with the I. And if it's followed by an H, like ihre, ihren, ihr. And it's short when it's followed by a double consonant, like bitte, is followed by two or more different consonants, winter, and it appears in common one-syllable words, followed by a single consonant, like in. Your turn again. Long or short? What do you think? And again, I will reveal the answer. Irland, illegal, sitzen, ihnen, ihres. Did you get those? Well done if you did. If you're not too sure, check again what the last two bits said about the I. Oh, and again it's the same role. Same role, same rule. The O sound is long when it's followed by a single consonant that would belong to the next syllable if separated. Vogel. If you were to separate that, it would be Vogel. If it's doubled, Boot. And if it's followed by an H, Ohren. Probably guess the rules when it's short. It's followed by a double consonant, kommen. It's followed by two or more different consonants, optimal. And one-syllable words, ob. Your turn again. Long O or short? O or O? And I give you the answer. Offen, which is short. Ohnmacht. Otter. Ober. Zoo. And of course all these rules also apply to Ö. So what do you think about these words? Long Ö or a short one? And here's the answer. Öffnen, Körper, Höhle, Lösung, Mönch. We've seen this before, haven't we? The U sound is long when it's followed by a single consonant that would belong to the next syllable if separated. Beruf. It's doubled? Nope. And if it is followed by an H, as in Uhr. And we now know when it's short, a double consonant followed is Mutter. It's followed by two or more different ones, Urlaub. And it appears in a common one-syllable word, followed by a single consonant, But I just said we don't have two U's. We do sometimes, but those are in two different syllables or even in compound words. Like Anschauung, Trauung. So it's not a U, long U sound. It's not Anschauung. We couldn't even say it. Or Trauung. It's Anschauung. I deliberately separate those so that you can hear it. Trauung and Bauunternehmen. That is actually a compound noun made out of two words, Bau and Unternehmen. Your turn. Long U or short U sound? And here's the answer. Und, Abgrund, Butter, Volumen, Buch. And yes, the same applies to Ü. Is it a long or a short one? And here's the answer again. Brücke, Führung, Füttern, München, Glückwünsche. And for a little bit of fun, I found this on Facebook. It says Umlaut save lives. Just look at the first sentence. Der Junge futtert die Meerschweinchen mit Salat. Or der Junge füttert die Meerschweinchen mit Salat. Füttern with the umlaut means to feed, whereas futtern is colloquial for eating. It's highly unlikely that the boy is eating the guinea pigs with lettuce. It's more likely he's feeding the guinea pigs with lettuce. And for a bit more fun, some tongue twisters. If you are worried, I'm not reading them out too fast because I can't do that either. But here we have a lot of A's in there. Herr von Hagen, darf ich's wagen, Sie zu fragen, welchen Kragen Sie getragen, als Sie lagen krank am Magen in der Stadt zu Kopenhagen. Das Weinfass, das Frau Weber leerte, verheerte ihre Leberwerte. Oma kocht Opa Kohl, Opa kocht Oma Kohl, doch Opa kocht Oma Rosenkohl. Oma dagegen kocht Opa Rotkohl. Just a bit of fun, but a nice bit of practice to get used to the sounds. Hear a lot of A's and E's and O's. And there's another one. Wenn Rumkugeln, Rumkugeln, herumkugeln, Kugeln Rumkugeln, Rumkugeln, herum. Phew. And the last bit of fun. There's something unusual about this word, Magermilchjoghurt. It's not something that is so unusual in English. English has got several words which have got this, but in German, as far as I know, this is the only German word, somebody will probably prove me wrong now, that has got the vowels in the right order in the word. It's got an A in it, it's got an E, followed by the I, followed by the O, and the U. And on that note, I'll finish this video. Continuing with the vowels, in this video we're looking at the diphthongs, or the two vowels together. And the first vowel combination is EU, which is pronounced OI, just like the English, OI. So we have Euro, Zeuge, beugen. The next one is A and U, which is Au. Haus, Baum, Traum. Au. Now, A with an umlaut and the U is pronounced exactly the same as the EU, so it's Oi again. But the origin of A umlaut U or EU words differ. It's just the pronunciation is the same. And if you look at the words, we have Bäume, Häuser, Träumen. You can see the origin because we've just had them in the AU slide. Baum, Haus, Traum. So Baum is one tree, Bäume is more than one tree. So the Oi sound has really got to be the A umlaut and not an EU because it doesn't come from Bäum, it comes from Baum. Ah, my favourite, IE. Now for English speakers, or for native English speakers, I say, that's easy to recognise because the pronunciation is the last letter in English. Now here that's an E, so the IE in German is pronounced E, as in vier, fliege, spielen, alarmieren. Words ending in IE, some of them are pronounced E, others aren't. That's just something you would need to learn. So these are still pronounced like the E sound. Zeremonie, Fotokopie, Strategie, Knie. But some other words, they are pronounced E. So it's almost like the two letters are pronounced separately. So we have Aktie, Aktie, Familie, Linie, Serie, Knie. Didn't we just have that word? And you're absolutely right. I just told you that that word is pronounced Knie. And now I'm telling you it's Knie. That's because Knie is one knee and Knie means it's plural. Although sometimes people pronounce the plural as Knie as well. And if the word ends in en, that often includes plurals, it is pronounced en. So Spanien, we've got some countries here, Albanien, Aktien, remember we already had Aktie, and Familien, and we had Familie. So your turn. Is it an E sound or is it an E sound? Pause the video if you haven't finished because I'm about to reveal the answer. Kastanie, Klavier, Tragödie, Kopie, Kopien, Well done if you got those. And now we've got the two letters the other way around, not IE, but EI. And again, a tip for native English speakers, it's the I, the English I pronunciation. Arbeit, drei, Polizei, Bücherei. AI is also pronounced as I. Hai, Mai, Kaiser. Your turn. How do you pronounce all these words? Have a go before I read them to you. You ready to hear it? The first word, Arbeitsgebiet. Yeah, we've got the EI first, and the second one is the IE. So Arbeitsgebiet. Same in the next one, Beispiel. Betriebszeit. Fliegerei. Liebelei. Siezerei. Vielleicht. Trainieren. Now, that is a foreign word that's been Germanized. So the IE is not trainieren. That's stayed in the original language, so it's trainieren. But the next two words, we've got Seite and Seite. The spelling is different because that tells us which Seite we're talking about. The first one with the AI is a string, Seite. The second one with the EI is a page, Seite. The context of the sentence or the sentences would tell you which one you're talking about. Right, let's start with the consonants, and in this video we're looking at B, D and F, or shall I say B, D, F. Sound pretty similar, don't they? B. At the end of a word or a syllable, it sounds a bit more like an English P. It's a bit of a sharp one. Lob, abholen, hab, gib, ob. But when it's no longer at the end of a word or a syllable, then it sounds like the English B. Haben, ober, halbe, geben. So is it a B sound or is it more like a P sound? What do you think? Pause if you're not ready, but this is how you pronounce those words. Urlaub, schreiben, Club, Bankraub, schreib auf, so schreib. Nearly all of these had the P sound rather than the B. D, sort of similar thing. If it's at the end of a word or a syllable, it sounds more like an English T. Lied, Freund, Land. But if it's not at the end of the word, it's more like the English D. Lieder, Freunde, Länder. Do you notice a difference? The first one, Lied, and then Lieder. Freund, Freunde. Land, Länder. Sometimes you see words with a DT, and that's always pronounced like a T. So Stadt, zugesandt, Bewandtnis. But sometimes you find a DT inside a word, but it actually only happened because it's a compound word and it consists of, well, we've got two in here. It consists of two words where the first one ends in a D and the second one just happens to start with a T. In that case, they do get pronounced separately. Abendtafel, Sandtorte. So it's not the connection, not the DT sound, it just happens to be put together. Your turn. T sound or a D sound? And this is what these words sound like. Landschaft, Landschaft, Hunde, Geld, Abend, Verwandter. F. That's as in English. Familie, Seife, Schlaf. But there's one change in the word doof, stupid. Now, you heard it correctly, doof. It's got the F at the end. But if we're adding something to doof, like we have here, because the word doof is in front of the noun Hund, so we added an ER, and it changes the pronunciation. Dover. Sounds like a V. Dover. Ein dover Hund. That's the only word where it changes. And some tongue twisters. Bürsten mit schwarzen Borsten bürsten besser als Bürsten mit blauen Borsten. Der dicke Dachdecker deckt dir dein Dach, drum dank dem Dachdecker, der dir dein Dach deckt. And my favorite one, because that's nice and easy. Wenn hinter Fliegen, 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 Fliegen nach. Move on to the next video or pause this to practice saying these yourself for a bit. Have fun. This video just covers one of the consonants, the letter G. And similar to what we've already had, if it's at the end of a word or a syllable, it sounds more like an English K. Ausflug, Anzug, Mag. It's not a proper K, it's more in that direction. So it's not Ausflug, Anzug, Mag. It's Ausflug, Anzug, Mag. And if it's not at the end of a word or a syllable, it sounds more like the English G, as in good or gone. Gut, Fliege, Geld, Vogel. Words ending in IG are pronounced like the German word ich. So it almost sounds like as if they were spelled ICH, but it's not, it's IG. Billig, 20, langweilig. Sometimes you may hear people saying billig, 20, langweilig, but usually it's billig, 20, langweilig. If, however, you're adding something to it, something is cheaper, then, just like the rule before, it's billiger. Der 20. langweiliger. So it's going back to the G sound. Of course, foreign words stick to the foreign pronunciation. Garage, genie, régisseur. So it's a bit like the ginger word in English. So your turn, quite a long one. Is it a g sound as in good? Is it an ich sound? Is it the k sound? Or is it a g like in ginger? As before, if you haven't had enough time yet, pause the video. If not, here are the answers. Klug. There's your k sound at the end. Ruhig. Genial. Careful with that one because it's not genial or anything. It's a German word genial. But Etage. Gnome. Und genug. And there we have two G's in there. G, as in the beginning, and the end one is more like a K. Genug. I've once written a blog post about the three-letter W-E-G, because if it means the path and it's just a word on its own, it's Weg. But if it's a prefix, it's Weg. And you can find it on YouTube, but I've added it here as the next video as well, so you can watch that. But before you do that, here is another tongue twister. And I may not be able to say that very fast either. Grießbrei bleibt Grießbrei und Kriegsbeil bleibt Kriegsbeil. Kriegsbeil bleibt Kriegsbeil und Grießbrei bleibt Grießbrei. Whew. If you can't say it, don't worry. I find them hard enough as it is myself. I'll see you in the next video. Those three little letters, W, E, G. In German, when do you pronounce them as Weg and when as Weg? That is the question we're covering here. And the first one is Weg. Now you can see it's been written with a capital W because it's a noun, der Weg. Der Weg means the way, the path, could be the alley, the journey, sometimes even the road. I think the way is probably the best one. Der Weg, so long E sound. There are a few compound nouns. I've got two. Der Wegweiser, so again it's Weg because it's a sign, the sign that shows you the way. Der Wegweiser. Der Wegbegleiter. Now that is your companion, which could be a man, a woman, which in that case would be Wegbegleiterin, die Wegbegleiterin. It could be an animal, could be a dog, who may be following you, walking with you on your way. Now, W-E-G not written with a capital letter. It's not a noun. It's a prefix of a verb, and not just one verb. There are quite a few, and I still haven't written them all down. This time it's pronounced Weg. So it's a short E and almost like a K sound, Weg. So, which verbs start with Weg? First lot. Wegbekommen. To remove something, to get rid of something. I've put something on my table and now I don't know how to get rid of it again. Wie bekomme ich es weg? Wegbleiben, to stay away. Wegbringen, to take away. This is not a take away, it's to take away. As in, ich bringe die Flaschen weg. I take the bottles away. Wegdenken. Have you ever thought of something, or you've seen something, and all of a sudden this thought is in your head and you can't get rid of it, but you want to? So you're thinking of something else to make sure this thought goes away? Well, we Germans call it wegdenken, because denken is to think. Wegdrücken, to push something away. Wegekeln. Now, ekel as a noun is disgust, or something disgusting. And wegekeln is to behave disgustingly or nastily until that person that you want to get rid of walks away, moves away, goes away. Not a very nice word, really. Wegessen. Now that's to eat something up and not leaving anything behind. Wo ist der Kuchen? Ach, den habe ich weggegessen. Sorry, that cake's gone. I've eaten all of it. Wegfahren, to drive away. Wegfegen, to sweep away. So to sweep is fegen. And if you're sweeping something away, then it's wegfegen. Wegfliegen, to fly away. Somewhere nice, I hope. Wegführen, to lead away. Und weggeben, to give something away. Ich habe meine CDs weggegeben. I've given my CDs away. No, I haven't, but... Weggucken, or wegblicken, wegschauen, to look away. Weghören. There is no verb for that in English. But say you're in a room with several people and you actually wanted to discuss a little birthday surprise, but the person in question is still in the room and you want them to not listen to what you're doing. So in German you could say, hör mal bitte eben weg. Which of course doesn't work at all, because if anybody says that to you, you'll be all ears. Oh, what are they saying? But that's the idea anyway. Wegjagen, to chase away. Wegkommen, to get away. Weglassen, to leave out. Like I may be laying the table and I'm leaving out the spoons because we won't need them. So I would say, ich lasse die Löffel weg. Weglaufen or wegrennen, to run away. Wegmachen. Now you wouldn't see that in written text, but in spoken German people saying it, which is to make away, literally, to remove something. Yeah, a child has made a mess and the mother says, mach den Dreck mal weg. Yeah, get rid of that dirt, that rubbish. Wegnehmen, to remove something, to take something. Wegoperieren. Now that's to have an operation when something then gets removed, like your tonsils. They would be wegoperieren. Wegpusten, to blow something away. Wegradieren, that's almost double, because radieren already means to erase something. But wegradieren, it just makes sure really you're erasing it until it's gone. Wegräumen, not just tidy things up, but to tidy them away. Wegrollen, to roll away. Wegrutschen, to slide away. Wegschicken, to send something away like a parcel. Wegschließen, to lock something away, to secure it. Wegschneiden, to prune something or to cut something off. Wegtragen, to carry something away. Wegwerfen, throw away. Wegwischen, wipe away or wipe off something. Und wegziehen is to move away. And we have a few phrases as well. They may come in useful one day. Geh weg, go away. Hände weg, or sometimes we say Finger weg. That's hands off. Kopf weg, mind your head. Und weg damit, get rid of it. So to put it all together again, if the three-letter word WEG in German means the way, then you pronounce it with a long E, Weg. If it means away, you pronounce it with a short E, Weg. I hope that made it a bit easier now. This time we're looking at the consonants H, J, K, L, M, N. It's quite a few in one video, but that's because they're almost the same as in English. Right, H. It doesn't get pronounced when after a long vowel sound. And we've already covered that in the vowel video. Fahren, Lehrer, ja. At the beginning of a word or a syllable is just like in English. Haus, Hamster, Bahnhof. So there is Haus and Hamster. It is actually like the English word. And Bahnhof, we've got the first H because that makes it a long A sound. And then the second syllable, or actually a compound noun. It's just a word, Hof. So as in English. The letter H, of course, comes in lots of other combinations. CH, SCH, PH and TH. And I'm covering those in the videos with the letter C and S and P and T. The German J sounds like the English Y, as in yo-yo. And actually, if you look at the words in English, they would be spelled with a Y. So yo-yo, jodeln, Joghurt, ja. But English words in German starting with J have been Germanized insofar that if it's a verb, it may have German endings now, but they are still pronounced as in English. So joggen, jeans, job. So ich bin joggen gegangen. French words in German starting with J are pronounced like the French word journalist, journalistin, jalousie. So, is this a German J or a foreign J? Shall we find out? Hallelujah. It's a German J. Pyjama. Jäger. Jetlag. Jugend. The letter K. It sounds like a K, like in the English word cook. Kino. Kalt. Kartoffel. Now, this is a strange one. I possibly should have added it in the last video with the letter G. It's not a word you'll see written down much because it's very colloquial, especially in the north of Germany, which is sort of to look, gucken. The strange thing is, it's usually spelled with a G, but it is like the K sound, so it's gucken. Nobody says gucken, it's always gucken. So when we had the spelling reform in 1995, 96 or whenever it was decided, as we're saying gucken, it should be spelled with a K. But most people don't like it, and so the spelling reform said again, all right, okay. So nowadays is you can spell it with a K, but nobody seems to do it. So you still find the word written with a G, but pronounced with a K. Gucken. So if you hear somebody saying, guck mal, look, they probably would have spelt it with a G. I just wanted to add that in here. KN. Unlike in English, we don't have a silent N. It gets pronounced. So it's Knie, Kneipe, Knopf. L. Now the German L is pronounced like the so-called front L, the English front L, as in lamp, not like the back L as in rattle. So Lampe, Apfel, sammeln, Teil or Teile. M, just like the English one. Mann, Musik, Name, im. No difference to the English. And the same applies to N. Nase, nicht, Tunnel, schneiden. Just like in English. NG, if you have an NG, that's sort of similar to the thing or bring in English. Zeitung, Hunger, Klingel, Frühling. And the same applies to NK. Dunkel, Bank, Onkel. You ready for a listening exercise? Oh, I haven't written any words down. Well, that's because if I had, you would know if this word is spelled with an NG or an NK. So I'm going to read out the words to you. You try and spell them and tell me or tell yourself, did that word have an NG or an NK? The first word, singen. I repeat, singen. The second word, sinken. Sinken. Number 3, Enkel. Enkel. Number 4, Engel. Engel. Number 5, dünken. Dünken. And the last one, düngen. Düngen. As you've noticed, they're all very similar, the two words each time. This is what I read out to you. The first word, singen, with an NG, which is to sing. Sinken, to sink. Actually exactly the same as in English, sing and sink. Enkel, which is a grandchild. Engel, which is an angel. Dünken, sort of to seem or think. And düngen is to fertilize. And some more tongue twisters before we finish. Hans hört hinterm Holzhaus Hubert Hansen heiser husten. Klitzekleine Kinder können keinen Kirschkern knacken. I like this one, because they all sound the same. Der Leutnant von Leuten befahl seinen Leuten nicht eher zu läuten, als der Leutnant von Leuten seinen Leuten das Läuten befahl. Wow. All you can hear is Leut, but look at the different spellings. And the last one. Hat die Maus die Mandel und das Marzipan gemaust? Have a go yourself. Pause the video, try and say these things. Or use the PDF and have a look at them again. And then I'll see you in the next video. Now let's have a look at the consonants P and Q. P on its own is just like the English P. Park, Platz, Alpen, Tipp. More tricky when you have a combination with P. PF. That's pronounced as one sound. So it's not Pferd, it's Pferd. So it's an F with a slight P in front of it. Pferd. Pfeffer. Pfirsich. Good time for a listening exercise. Again, I'm going to give you 6 words, but do they start with a PF or do they start with an F? Are you ready for this? The first word, Pfund. Pfund. The second word, Pfund. Pfund. The next one, Flug. Flug. And then we have Flug. Flug. And for the last 2, Pfeil. Pfeil. And the last one, Pfeile. Pfeile. And here is the answer. So the first one was Pfund. Pfund with a PF, which is the pound. Pfund, just the F, which is a find. Flug, the flight. Pflug is a plough. Pfeil is an arrow, and Pfeile is a file, like a nail file or anything. Now, if you didn't do it too well, remember that this exercise really is pretty artificial. I mean, who would be throwing words at you, Pfund, Pfund, Flug, Flug, Pfeil, Pfeile, and saying, how do you spell them? This is not how you do a conversation in German. And as I said before, it is the context of the sentences that you hear or see or read, which will give you an idea whether somebody's talking about a plough or a flight. PH. That's like the F in English, like in the word phrase. So Physik, Paragraph, Alphabet, Phrase. There's a little but, because we used to have more words spelled with a PH. Fotografie, Telefon, Elefant. But because they so obviously sound like an F, during the spelling reform in 1995, that's been changed. So nowadays, you'll find the words written as with an F. Fotografie, Telefon, Elefant. Depending on if you're reading a German book, even a German textbook, if it was written before 1995, it most likely will have the old spelling. It's just something to be aware of. PS. Unlike in English, there is no silent P. So it's Psychologie, Psalm, Pseudo-Anglizismus. So we do pronounce the P. Q. Q on its own, it's not used in German. It's always as the combination of QU, and that's pronounced like in English Qv. So Quark, Qualle, Quer, Quittung. But foreign words might have the K sound. Boutique, plaque. Your turn. Is it a K sound or a Kv sound? If you're not ready, pause the video. If you are ready, this is what the sounds are. Clicker, Quetsche, bequem, Jacqueline, konsequent. And some tongue twisters. This one I won't be able to say very fast. Der Flugplatz Spatz nahm auf dem Flugplatz Platz. Auf dem Flugplatz nahm der Flugplatz Spatz Platz. Oh. This one is easier. Quatschende Quallen quälen, quirlige, quallende Quälquallen. I'll see you in the next video. In this video, we're looking at the consonants R and T, R und T. And before we even start, a quick question about the R. Is it rolled or not? People often hear this in war films, or sometimes in music. I think Rammstein are pretty good at rolling their R's, or at least sometimes. So the question is that what the Germans do or not? And the answer is yes and no. Some people do, some people don't. The further south you go in Germany, the more chance there is that you do hear people use it. In the north, it's not so much. I don't, so it's up to you. Let's have an easy one. An easy R is the one at the end of a word, together with an E, the ER together. And that's very easy to pronounce. It's just Vater, Mutter, Papier, Bier. Very important word, isn't it? So Vater, Mutter, Papier, Bier. Nice and easy. More difficult is any R that's in front of any vowel. Bruder, Bruder, Rot, Rot, Grün, Grün, drei, drei. Fancy practicing some tongue twisters? How about this one? Blaukraut bleibt Blaukraut, Brautkleid bleibt Brautkleid. Oh. Brauchbare Bierbrauerburschen brauen brausendes Braunbier. Der froschforschende Froschforscher forscht in der froschforschenden Froschforschung. You can always pause the video and practice this for a while, or we can move on to the letter T. Let's move on. Now the letter T on its own sounds just like the English T. Auto, Tür, gut. No difference there. Slightly more different is when you have a letter combination. Now the TH, although it exists in German, it is pronounced like a T, and we don't pronounce the H. So it's not like the English th. Actually, quite a few Germans are struggling with the English th, and they can't say it. So the words we have here, remember, it's just a T sound. Apotheke, Katharina, Methode, Theater. This is little but. In compound nouns, we sometimes get that one noun ends in a T and the next one starts with an H. So you do have the TH in there, but it's not a combination. And in that case, they do get pronounced separately. So gut haben. Well, not that slow. Gut haben. But it's those two separately. It's not the TH. Kredit, high. Your turn. Do you pronounce these words with a T? Or is it the T and the H separately? Have a think. pause the video if you're not ready. Otherwise, I will now reveal the answers. Katholiek, Thailand, Mithilfe. There's your compound noun, Mithilfe. And the next one the same, Nachthemd, Rathaus. But the last one, Thermometer. Well done if you've got those. T-I-O-N. A lot of words end in T-I-O-N, and that's pronounced like Zion. So it's more like a T-S or T-Z even, Zion. Adoption, Dokumentation, Funktion, Nation. TSCH is like the TCH in English, as in which. Deutsch, Quatsch, Tschüss. I love those ch sounds. TZ is as the English TS. So Blitz, Netz, Putzen, Spitze. And to just finish this video with a few more tongue twisters. Testtexte, Texten, Testtexte. Testtexter, Texten, Even I can't say it. Let me start again. Testtexte, Texten, Testtexter. Testtexter, Texten, Testtexte. There we are. If I do it slowly, it works. This one is easier. Glücklich ist der Tourist, wenn auf einer Tour ist und in einer Tour ist. That was nice and easy, wasn't it? I'll see you in the next video. In this video, we're looking at the consonants V, W, X, Y, Z, or in German, V, W, X, Y, Z. V. It's pronounced like in English F most of the times. So we have Vater, viel, vier, Vogel. But it can also be pronounced like a V. November, privat, Vase, Verb. What do you think? F or V? And I'm about to reveal the answers. Klavier, von, Vorschlag, Universität, Viertel, Bolivien. W, pronounced like the English V, so V, wo, Winter, wer, wie. Wirklich? Yes, really. X, so the X, Alexa, text, export. The Y, if it's used like a vowel, then it's pronounced like the U-Umlaut, Ü. Rhythmus, typisch, Gymnasium. If it's at the beginning or an end of a word, then it's pronounced like in English. If you look at those words, they're all English words. Baby, hobby, yoga, handy. So, Ü or not? Have a think. Ready for the answers? Okay. System, Analyse, City, Disney, Hydraulik, Typ. Z, it's pronounced like a TS, so ts, as in Zimmer, Toleranz, Zimt, zwei. But in foreign words, quiz, jazz, it's a bit softer. And some tongue twisters. This one is not too bad. 4 fünfmal vervierfacht macht mehr als 5 viermal verfünffacht. This one is easy as well. Wer nichts weiß und weiß, dass er nichts weiß, weiß mehr als der, der nichts weiß und nicht weiß, dass er nichts weiß. This one is a bit more tricky. Max wachst Wachsmasken. Was wachst Max? Wachsmasken wachst Max. And one more. And I don't think I'll be reading this one very fast. 12 zünftige Zipfelmützenzwerge, die auf 12 Tannenzapfen saßen, aßen 222 blaue Zwetschgen. Als sie die 222 Zwetschgen gegessen hatten, sagte Zwerg Zwuckel zu Zwerg Zwockel, mich zwickt's im Bauch. Darauf antwortete Zwerg Zwockel zu Zwerg Zwuckel, mich auch. I challenge you to say that without any mistakes, because as you noticed, even I can't do it. Have fun with it. In this video, we're going to look at the consonant S and the combinations of SK, SP, ST and SCH. First of all, the letter S on its own. If it's at the beginning of a word or a syllable, it sounds more like an English Z. So Sonne, Saft, Sie, zusammen. At the end of a word or a syllable, it's like an English S. Haus, it's almost the same pronunciation, just different spelling. Haus, Reise, arbeitslos, alles. So is this an English Z sound or an English S sound? If you got it, here are the answers. Sumpf, Auskunft, Saft, Supermarkt, Mais. So what about some combinations with the letter S? SCH, that's like the English SH, the sh sound. Schlaf, Fisch, komisch, Schnee. SK, we pronounce both letters. So Skelett, Skandal, Maske. A bit more pronounced is if it's again a compound noun, or a compound word in this case, which consists out of two words. The first one is Eis and the second one is kalt. So here we pronounce them really separately. Eis, kalt, not eiskalt. Eis, kalt, in comparison to Skelett or Maske. But there's one but. It's not Skifahren, although you may hear people say it sometimes. It's Skifahren. So one exception, Skifahren. SP, At the beginning of a word, it's like an English sp, like an SHP. Sport, spielen, sprechen. And I've also written down versprechen, although that's not the beginning of the word. It is actually the beginning of the stem of the verb. It just happens to have a prefix. But it's still sprechen, so versprechen. If it's at the end or in the middle of a word or a syllable, then it's like the sp, English sp. So it's the same really. Wespe, Aspirin, lispeln. And similar thing with the st. At the beginning of a word, it's like in English st. So Straße, studieren. And again, I've got two words here which are a combination of two words. So Hauptstadt, because Stadt starts with an st, so that's Stadt. And we just put something in front of it, but that doesn't change the pronunciation of Stadt. And verstehen, because stehen starts with a st sound. So having the prefix there doesn't change the pronunciation. If it's at the end of the or the middle of the word or a syllable, then it's like the English st. So Husten, Gäste, Donnerstag, Fenster. Now, the SS, two S's, or is it the SZ letter? Before the spelling reform, there were lots of words written with the SZ letter. And in the spelling reform in 1995, there were some rules made that these words we've got here used to be spelt with the SZ, but because they're all after a short vowel sound, they are now spelt with a double S. So Fass, Schloss, Stress. If you have got any books, whether it's textbooks or novels or anything, that were written before the spelling reform, you would see those words still spelt with the SZ. But with the new rule now, it's Fass, Schloss, Stress. But we haven't got rid of the SZ, because if it's a long vowel sound or a diphthong, so if we've got two vowels together, we still use it. So Fußball is still spelt with the SZ, as it always has been. The same goes to Weiß and 30. And I'm going to read you some words again. Do you spell them with the SS or SZ? Muss. And I read it again. Muss. Is that two S's or SZ? Maß. Maß. Ich weiß. Ich weiß. Two S's or SZ? And then wir wissen. Wir wissen. What about wir essen? Wir essen. Or aß. Aß. What do you think? Did you spell them correctly with two S's or SZ? This is what it looks like. Muss is a short U, so it's two S's. Maß, which has got a long A sound, SZ. Ich weiß, you've got the EI in front of it, so it's got to be the SZ. But wir wissen is with two S's. Wir essen, two S's, and aß is still spelled with the SZ. And some tongue twisters again. Schnecken erschrecken, wenn sie an Schnecken schlecken. Denn zum Schrecken vieler Schnecken manche Schnecken nicht schmecken. Siebzehn Schnitzer, die auf 17 Schnitzsitzen sitzen und mit ihren spitzen Schnitzern Ritzen in ihr Schnitzholz schlitzen, wobei sie schwitzen, sind 17 schwitzende, schnitzende, auf dem Schnitzsitz sitzende, spitze Schnitzer, benützende Schnitzholzritzenschlitzer. You notice I said that pretty slow? And I've practiced beforehand. It's your turn now. I'll see you in the next video. Right, we've got one consonant left, the letter C, and C in connection with CH and CK. Now, C on its own. If it's before an E, an I, or an A umlaut, it's pronounced as ts. So Celsius, Cent, City, Caesar. Any other letters? It's just a K sound. Kaffee, Campingplatz, Clown. And these are most likely all foreign words. There is an exception. Some foreign words are pronounced differently. Cello, cappuccino. But they're clearly foreign words and not original German words. Your turn. Is it a K or a Ts? So K or Ts sound. Ready for the answer? The first word is Cadillac. Curry. City. Zelle. Zivil. Computer. CH. This is the one that's bothering most German learners. Also because it's quite difficult to sort of write down phonetically. If it's after an A, O, U or AU, so A, O, U or Au, then it's as in Loch Ness, so the ch sound, ch, Loch, ch, Auch, Buch, Tochter. After any other letters, it's a ch sound. Ich, Milch, wirklich, Mönch. And then quite often you have the CHEN and the meaning of it is something little. So some of those neuter nouns. And that's then always chen. Brötchen, Mädchen, Kaninchen, Kännchen. So quite often the word changes and the pronunciation changes. Here we've got a list of words where I've actually only added an umlaut. Most of them turned it from singular to plural. So the singular word, Buch, because it's after a U, Buch, but then the plural is Bücher. Singular is Tochter, Tochter, and the plural Töchter, Töchter. Loch, Loch, Löcher, Löcher. Brauch, Brauch, Bräuche, Bräuche. Bach, Bach, Bäche, Bäche. And this is not a singular plural, to like in the past tense, imperfect tense, is mochte, and the conditional it's möchte. Now, if you are struggling with the pronunciation of those, bearing in mind again that you very unlikely say any of these words completely on their own, and it's a context again that will tell you, or that will help the other person understand what you're talking about. So let's assume you're struggling with the difference of Tochter and Töchter. Yeah? Well, you wouldn't just say Tochter or Töchter. You might say, ich habe eine Tochter. And then the eine is giving away that is just one daughter. Ich habe zwei Töchter. The zwei is giving it away. Whether you're saying ich mochte or ich möchte, most likely in the context already it would work out what you said. Some exceptions. CH here, again with foreign words, is pronounced like the K again. So Chor, Christoph, Chaos, Orchester. And some regional exceptions. Now, I've only ever pronounced these three words as Chemie, China, Chirurg, because that's what we say where I come from. Chemie, China, Chirurg. In other areas, people say Chemie, China, Chirurg. This is one of the reasons also why when you're learning a foreign language, you just learn the standard. So any textbook will teach you the standard German, and it's up to you really to pick up how people in the area that you're visiting or you're moving to is speaking. But you're probably not very often talking about a surgeon who talks about chemistry in China, so you'll probably be all right. Foreign words, French ones, are just pronounced, the CH is pronounced just like in the French language, chauffeur, chef, charm. And English ones, chicken, chat, cheeseburger. CHS is pronounced like X or X, Axel, Büchse, Sechs, wachsen. Over to you. Do we pronounce the CH as in ach, as in ich, or is it an X? And I'm about to reveal the answer. Reich, as in ich, Tücher, Abbruch, wechseln, kochen. Did you get those? Well done if you did. CK is always pronounced just like a K sound and always after a short vowel sound. Abtrocknen, Blick, Decke, Schreck. Now, this tongue twister is one of those, you just got two words, you need to repeat them 3 times and you're supposed to say it as fast as possible. I can't. I challenge you to do it. Chinesisches Schüsselchen. Chinesisches Schüsselchen. Chinesisches Schüsselchen. I can do it nice and slowly. And the last one, Mechthild und Eckhard machen schrecklich Krach. And that was the last of the consonants. Let's talk about stress. No, not that stress. Not the stress you might be, hopefully not, having learning German. But the stress on words, the emphasis, where do we put the emphasis on German words? As a general rule, and that tells you straight away, there is a general rule, but there are lots of exceptions. Most German words are stressed on the first syllable. So, Abend, Deutschland, heute, langweilig, singen. The stress is on the second syllable, for example, after words beginning with B, Emp, Ent, Er, G, Ver, Zer. Examples: besonders, Empfang, Enttäuschung, Erfahrung, Gedächtnis, Verein, Zerbrechen. And on the second last syllable, with words that end in ieren. Rasieren, telefonieren, studieren. And on the last syllable with words ending in I, ik or tät. Bäckerei, Theorie, Musik, Universität. Foreign words, however, are usually stressed as in the original language. Computer, hotel. And that's where one of the problems comes, because sometimes it's not really that obvious anymore whether it's a foreign word or not. I mean, I wouldn't have recognized hotel as a foreign word. But that's the beauty of language. Just something to show you here. We've got 4 words which are almost identical between English and German. But each time in English the stress is on the first syllable and in German on the second one. So total is total in German. Jewel is Juwel in German. April? No, it's April. Local? Lokal. So that's a little bit of help on the stress, but like I said before, there are so many exceptions and different words, and trying to work out whether a word is originally a foreign word or a German word will take a bit of time. I'll see you in the next video. So, to conclude the whole course, about the spelling, not so much the alphabet spelling, because that's pretty standard, but how you pronounce letters and letter formations inside a word and how you pronounce words. There are lots of German rules and lots of exceptions. Just like with everything else. So one of the exceptions, foreign words, like the English joggen, for example. It gets Germanized. So the verb jog, to jog, is in German joggen, because verbs usually end in en. And it's ich jogge, du joggst, er jogged. But the pronunciation stays in English. Sometimes it's not that obvious. Sometimes the pronunciation gets to the German pronunciation, sometimes it doesn't. It also depends on how the people who are saying those words feel. Looking at some French words. Garage. Nobody in Germany would say Garage, although that would have been the German pronunciation. It's Garage. Slightly different are the next 2 words. Now, a lot of Germans saying pensioniert and orange, because those come from the French language. Yeah, somebody who's retired may say, ich bin pensioniert. Und ich mag die Farbe orange. But a lot of other people, and actually me including, would say, ich bin pensioniert. Und ich mag die Farbe orange. So it's a little bit more Germanized. Not quite, because if it was a German spelling, it would be, or pronunciation, it would be pensioniert und orange. Don't think anybody says that. But you've got the choice whether you want to stick to the pensioniert or pensioniert, orange or orange. And the next one, we even got two spellings. Parfum, if you want the German pronunciation, or parfum, if you want the French pronunciation. And then we have that word, Kaffee. Now, based on the German rule, the emphasis would be on the first word, Kaffee, but a lot of people say Kaffee. For a long time, I used to say, posh people drinking Kaffee, whereas common people like me drink coffee. And actually, some people even say Kaffee. But it isn't quite that. It is also the case of what's popular. And last time I read an article about it, they were saying that Kaffee seems to be the preferred choice. In a few years, it may be different again. Which is the other beauty of languages. It changes all the time. Local dialects. Some of the words get pronounced completely different in the north than they are in the south. One example, which a lot of English people probably like, especially those who are struggling with saying ich. In Berlin, those who speak proper Berliner dialect will say ich or icke, whereas in other areas they don't. Think of your own language, your native language, English or whatever language it may be. Think of the standard. And then think of all the variations you can hear in different parts of that country. Now, all my years in England, I've only ever lived in Wiltshire, which is in the southwest of England. If I go up north, I might be struggling with understand what people are saying. So if people who live in the country sometimes have problems, then don't worry if you're having problems. Again, that's the beauty of learning a foreign language, but that's the case with any language, not just with learning German. And I'll just leave you with one more tongue twister. It's almost like a little story. And I'll try and read it without any mistakes. Wussten Sie schon, dass, wenn in Reden von Walzwerken und Waldzwergen die Rede ist, es zu Irritationen beim Hörer führt, da es phonetisch nicht ganz leicht ist zu unterscheiden, ob es sich um Waldzwerke oder Waldzwerge handelt. Gott sei Dank ist es aber relativ selten, dass ein Waldzwerg ein Walzwerk besucht oder Walzwerke in der Umgebung der Waldzwerge erbaut werden. Wenn allerdings ein Waldzwerg ein Walzwerk baut, handelt es sich demzufolge um ein Walzwerk-Walzwerk. Wenn dieser dann auch noch darin arbeitet, ist es dann offensichtlich ein Walzwerk-Wald. No, I can't get that right. Walzwerk-Waldzwerg. On that note, where a German native speaker makes a mistake reading a German word, what do you need to worry about? Just enjoy learning it.